let me next 15 minutes talk about the cooperation fintech and banks. One, the fintechs, why the fintechs wants to work with the bank is obvious, so I will not elaborate with this. But the question will be why banks need fintech actually. So I think good to start always with understanding the perspective of the bank and the later final clients, like SMEs, what the SMEs expect, and then we can come to the answer the question why the banks needs the fintech, what they can get, and what I believe makes sense with the cooperation, which kind of business case makes sense, and which will be not work simply. Finally, I will go for the project success factors and barriers, which is also important one. So as you see on the first slide, on the top on the slide, there are 3 elements which I believe can help cooperation, fintech and the banks, because simple basic goals of the banks like number of acquisition, reduce the churn, customer satisfaction, all these elements could be supported by the fintech, especially if fintechs have like 80% of conversion rate and approval rate, versus in many cases of the banks, they have a really low or high rejection rate, oppositely. So this is quite obvious, but also I think another 2, digitalization, automation process, plus all this API is a heart, let's say, of the fintech, because we are the technology and finance company together. So this is something positive. But what could be challenging here is also I presented on the bottom. Yes. So firstly, I think for the banks, this SMEs and micro is really long term. This is very low margin. So if we talk about the deep integration, we need some resources from the bank. So that will be always question if the banks want and have these resources for such projects. So normally, I think you can confirm a lot of discussion with the banks stopping when let's start from the very basic without integration. Does it make sense really in this 21st century when we have the AI technology and all this stuff, all this thousands, you know how many, for example, Santander globally has transactions? They have 25,000 transactions per second. So imagine how this scale, what is potential fintech can get the data to provide very dynamic offer and very dedicated one, precision to the expectation of the bank. So this is one. If the banks have resources to do integration. Number 2 is obvious, which is the law and customer base protection for the banks. So if we want integration, I will show you on the next slides, other departments will be involved. If we have more departments, that will be more complications. People from the compliance, from the data protection, lawyers, make this process longer and sometimes even stopping. And the last one, I think the problem from the banks, they have several places when they have the data, right? Is sometimes not integrated. Even last my discussion with the global big international bank, and I provided the list of the data I would like to have to present extra offer from our side. And the bank said, okay, but this kind of data we have in another system, this data we have in another system, and this is not connected. So this is rather hard to provide to you. So this is perspective of the bank. If we come to the SMEs, under our research we done for our database, we see that 30% of the small companies resign of the next order simply because of long-term payments they have. So they have cash flow problem, not capacity to do the projects. And it is quite a big number, this 30%, right? In the same time, 25% could accept lower margin. Let's take, for example, logistic companies. They have really low margin. They have 5%, 7% margin. If you ask about the commission, 4% for some finance is quite a big part of this margin. But even if this situation, they have some moments within the year, they have a problem with the cash flow. So they can accept this lower margin and pay this extra commission for the invoice, yes, for the factoring. Also, if we come to the expectation from the bank or the financial institution, they expect something more than just be provider of the service. They expect to be advisor, to help them to understand the situation, how to protect themselves, to not go for the bankruptcy, yes. For the finance, they expect three elements under our research we done. Approval rate, which is in the banks, they have like rejection rate 70%, 80% sometimes. So just they need the money. They need easy process and easy understanding pricing, because sometimes complicated pricing, payments for the open account, payments for the subscription, some limits, it's complicated. They assume on the beginning that will be like 1% for the commission, but in fact, in the last moment, they calculate all this additional cost they didn't predict, and they are upset. Yeah. And the best customer service, maybe not best, but just customer service, because this really small companies, if they go for the institutions, doesn't matter, telecom or banks, quite often then go for the IVR, they use the chatbots, etc. And they are finally stuck in the middle, they have some more deeply question, and they resign. Yeah. What Fintech can deliver? This is our case. So approval rate, we can happy to say that we have 90%, over 90%. Pricing, we ask about the simply paying when they are using uploading invoice. So they ask, we are asking about the some commission, and they know what is the price, what will be the cost, right? I must tell you, this NPS score, I was surprised when I joined the company last year, but this is true. I was calling directly to the customers by myself to check if they are satisfied. They really appreciate if they have someone, if this is process of fully digital, but sometimes they want to have some contacts for the physical person to ask the question, and they are really appreciate if they have some dedicated person who always answer the phone. Simple things, but they like it. So why the banks need fintech? So this is the most crucial question for this presentation. I must tell you, I don't believe the business models when the banks is just provide the leads, they rejected, and the fintech is paying some fee commission. That will never works for me. So the business case could be based on the to help bank achieve the main objectives, which is higher acquisition rate, reduce the churn, improve NPS score. And the last one, I get this from one of the big banks last week, and they said, listen, we are afraid that this year many of our SMEs and micro will go for the bankruptcy. We are not able to provide the finance for them. And we afraid that our database will be lower end of the year. So this is something all the managers on the banks have in the mind. All these four elements. So how fintech can help? Could be dedicated offer, could be higher approval rate, could be a presentation based on transactions. I mentioned how many Santander have, 25,000 per second. We can do bundling, we can offer customer service, which bank, because of cost, cannot do, right? Yeah, so I think let's skip it. For me, if the project cooperation, fintech and banks should be successful, we need to think about three elements. One is product attractiveness, so it should be not like this, okay, we have rejected clients, so let's go for the fintech. They have standard offer, we can offer standard pricing for such clients. The product with the cooperation should be better. It should be something, listen, we have partnership, and thanks to this partnership, we have better offer to you. So this is the sense, something which is not available on the market. And we need to sit together and think what kind of segments, what kind of profile of the banks we can work, what kind of data we can get from the bank to reduce our risk on our side. And because we reduce the risk, we reduce our costs, so we can invest this into the better offer. So this is number one. Number two, offer awareness. So it should be discussed on the beginning. What is the plan if we implement this? What the bank wants to do? If the bank wants to promote this, where, how long, etc. How will be audience? How big? Is it just a test, etc.? Because we invest in the fintech and we want to understand what is the final stage of this. And the last one is simplicity. Simplicity is the integration, what Olena is mentioning on the beginning of this conference, and World of Open Accounts is just about this. And in case of fintech, it could be just simple: create account, access to the client zone. It's few steps, right? It's here's nice picture because my ID and my face. So in our case, it's a full digital process online. But as I said, we found that it's not enough. Sometimes we need to provide also a physical person to help the really small companies to go for this onboarding, even if this they can do it on themselves. But just this simplicity, this seamless digital onboarding, I want to show you this is in our case, very easy. It's take like 10 minutes, something like this. And all this stuff could be on the bank's side, yes, via connectivity. So it really makes sense to use this simple single sign-on, full integration with the bank and provide the service on their side. Otherwise, it will be complicated from the customer point of view. And also, this information about the transaction, about the profile, is necessary to provide better offer to these customers. There is but. What is the but? But there are barriers, right? If you want to go for the full integration, we have a regulatory compliance, we have integration with the legacy system, which is quite old in many places, and also cultural organization resistance. Maybe if we have time on the panel discussion, I can give you some example on this, which is showing how it's working in the practice. But sometimes the managers afraid this process and which stopping all the projects. Yeah. Also, if we start from the business departments normally to talk with the banks, so all managers are okay. We like this concept. We want to go for this. But if we go for the more integration, another department we need to involve. It could be information technology department, risk management, operations, and finally marketing, right? So all these departments, imagine they have their own goal, because risk management is about the protection of the bank. So their target is to not provide the data to the fintech and increase the risk of the bank. And all these elements showing that could be harder if you want to go in the practice, what should be done. I think last slide, because time is finished almost. it could be three kind of options implementation. Basic one, banks have a rejection, provide the leads to the fintechs, quite often popular on the market. Light is the banks have a, I don't know, on the web page some lead template, again, collect the leads and provide it to the fintech. And finally, advanced, which is full via API connectivity. And my private opinion is the only one, the last one makes sense. In the longer perspective, it's really hard to keep attention bank and managers to involve next month, next years in the basic model. What the bank will be uh, uh, motivated by paying leads, like, I don't know, we can pay 100, 150 euro per lead. So what is for the bank? Well, this is nothing. So it's necessary to make something really integrated, smart, and intelligent way. So that's why, finally, just last slide, I think the project schedule with the banks should be from the beginning, sit together, discuss the concept, define, also invite the project team from the banks to work on daily basis and analyze the result, make some corrections if necessary, and customize in the future. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much, and I hope that will be good intro to make a discussion on the panel. Thank you.